With that tax break, that might make a difference in terms of being able to buy a computer for a child. That might make a difference in terms of being able to pay for the food that's needed for a big family. So that's the kind of relief that we need. But we also, if we're serious about energy, have to recognize the only way to bring down gas prices is to change our energy policy, investing in alternative fuels, raising fuel efficiency standards on cars. I want to charge polluters who are causing global warming, generate billions of dollars, put that money back into solar and wind and biodiesel, invest $150 billion in clean and renewable energy all across America, including in Indian country, because we have an opportunity to create millions of jobs and economic development for Americans right here and right now if we've got leadership in Washington. That's the leadership I want to provide. That's the real answer to our energy problem, not more gimmicks. If we push back on the special interests, the oil companies, the gas companies, the drug companies, insurance companies, banks, if we push back on the special interests and we're honest with the American people about how we're going to solve problems, then there's nothing we can't do. We can set up a universal health care system in this country. It is long overdue. I'm going to make sure that if you have health insurance, we lower your premiums by $2,500 per family per year. If you don't, you can get health care as good as the health care I am as a member of Congress. There will be no exclusions for pre-existing conditions. We will negotiate for the cheapest available price on drugs, and we will do it by the end of my first term as President of the United States of America. Make sure that we invest in our infrastructure, our roads and our bridges, broadband lines,
yes, Paulo.
So that everybody has access to the internet superhighway, create a new electricity grid, so that the wind power that's developed right here in South Dakota and all across the country can actually get to the consumers that need it. And if people tell you we can't afford it, you just remind them we are spending $10 billion a month in Iraq. If we can spend $10 billion a month in Iraq, we can spend $10 billion right here in South Dakota. That's common sense. And I want to make sure that we are providing the best education this country has to offer to every child. I don't care whether they're in a rural community, on a reservation, in the inner city, in a barrio, wherever they are, they should get a first-class education, and that means investing in early childhood education to close the achievement gap. It means giving our teachers more money and giving them more support. It means after-school programs and summer school programs. It means changing No Child Left Behind, so we don't just have a single high-stakes standardized test. And it means making sure that those young people, when they graduate from high school, they can afford to go to college. We are going to provide them a $4,000 tuition credit every student, every year, in exchange for national service and community service. They can work teaching on a reservation. They can work in an underserved community. They can join the Peace Corps. We'll invest in them. They invest in America. Together, we're going to march this country forward. That's the agenda of the Obama administration. This is the opportunity that we have, but we've got to seize it. We've got to seize it. Everybody here has to vote on Tuesday. Everybody here has to get your friends and your family to vote on Tuesday. We've got to seize this moment. These moments where they come around once in a generation, where you've got a chance to fundamentally shift the direction of the country, away from selfishness, away from greed, and back towards what built this country, a sense that we're all in it together, that I am my brother's keeper, that I am my sister's keeper. I know, South Dakota, that you want to restore that sense of community into Washington, into America, and that's why, if you'll vote for me on Tuesday, I will not just win this nomination, I will win the general election. You and I go, we're going to change the country and change the world. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. All right, we've got about 20 minutes for some questions. I'm not going to be able to get to all of them, but we should have some microphones in the audience. If you will raise your hand, and I'm going to go boy, girl, so that everybody knows it's fair. All right, and we'll try to get through as many as possible. Gentlemen right here. Hold on a second, let's get a mic over here. I'll call on you next.
In what way do you feel that our dependency on foreign oil and lack of energy policy has an effect on our national security?
Oh, it has a huge effect. It's a great question. Look, we are sending $1 billion a day to foreign countries. $1 billion a day. It's probably more now. That was an old statistic. With prices going up, it's probably higher than that. Now, there are a couple of consequences to that. First of all, even though we may not buy oil directly from Iran, for example, if we're consuming that much oil, that's pushing prices up. And that means that Iran, who George Bush says is our mortal enemy, and who we refuse to talk to him, John McCain has said, you know, Obama wants to talk to Iran, and he said that's naive and dangerous, and yet they don't have an energy policy that would actually weaken Iran and take money out of their pockets that they're using to stir terrorism in the Middle East. That doesn't make any sense. The most powerful thing we could do to force Iran to stand down on some of these issues is that if we actually reduced our dependency on foreign oil and squeezed them hard, because then economic sanctions would be more effective than they are right now. So that's point number one. The same thing when it comes to Venezuela. Hugo Chavez. Everybody gets excited. Oh, that guy, he's anti-American. He's spreading revolution in Latin America. Where do you think he gets all this money to do it? From Citgo, which is owned by Venezuela. We finance him and his anti-American statements. So if we're serious, we would start trying to develop our own energy sources here at home. If we are serious, we would raise fuel efficiency standards on cars if we're serious. But there's another part of this, and that is we are borrowing money to buy the oil. We borrow money from China to buy the oil, which means we've got a whole bunch of IOUs to China, and we're taking out that money, by the way, in the name of our children and our grandchildren. We're not paying it back. We haven't disciplined our budget. All these folks who call themselves fiscal conservatives have run up an additional $4 trillion in debt. And so what happens then is when we're negotiating with China, on trade deals, for example, when they're stealing our intellectual property and not observing our copyright laws and